Hey everybody, welcome back to Doc G's Reloading. Today I'm going to talk about an issue with reloading 9mm cases that I just found I was having. I use retting equipment on I have a Dillon XL750. Everybody knows that who has seen my channel. So on the XL750, position 1, I have a retting carbide die that is a decapping and resizing die. So I do my decapping in Station 1 as I'm resizing the die. And this is the standard 9mm insert for that. You can see here on the tip, this is the black. You can adjust the depth of it as needed, but here's the pin that's held in by that screw cap. And when you unscrew the screw cap, which I can't do because it's locked on there really tight, this just slides into a little pronged end and is held in place. Now, it's held in pretty tight. I mean, it takes a lot of force to pull that out. Well, I had 2 cases that this happened on. So 2 cases out of 5. I had to disassemble the machine twice. Well, disassemble position 1 actually, to get this out. Because what happened was it got stuck as it was pulling out after sizing and depriming. So it got stuck in there. Now, the name on this thing says 9x19. And then it says SX, and then on the other side of the case stamp, it says capital T. So it's got a T on one side. On the bottom, it says 9x19, and then SX. So I don't know what brand of case this is. It doesn't seem to be NATO, but both were these types of cases. So both of the problems that I had within 5 cases were the same brand. So they're exactly the same thing. I'll see if I can get this up there close enough for you guys to see it. I don't know that you'll be able to see that, even if you put it on pause or hold it. I'll write this up in the description so everybody can see it. But that's basically what the head stamp says right there. Sorry if it's moving, but I'll put that in the description. And so this is a really tight primer flash hole, really tight flash hole. Now I had this problem on 223 stuff too. Now my 223 I hand deprime myself with a little Lee hand deprimer was what I use. I got it right here. So this is what I use with the Lee. So for my 223, this is what I use here. So I have the Lee universal decapping die up here. And this is what I use for depriming my 223 that I pick up on the range. Because then I go ahead and I do my own swaging. So I had the same problem here. This pin pulled out completely out from the actual insert up here. So what I did was I found out that the standard size of these is 60 thousandths, 0.060. So what I had to do is I went online and I pulled up the Midway site and I pulled up undersized decapping pins from retting on Midway. And these are 0.057. So they're 3 thousandths smaller than the standard size. So what I did is I replaced it with this one and it works perfectly. Now the other case, I pounded this pin out and I actually found another one of these cases in there and I just took it out before it was even resized and I took this and deprimed it and it worked perfectly. So this undersized decapping pin is what I would put in if I had a progressive reloader and I was loading, if you're loading range brass where you're picking it up off the ground, you're going to get multiple different head stamps and you're not going to know what's what. So what's interesting is I had this problem a long time ago, but it was only on 1 or 2 cases, never really thought about it much after that. But when I had 2 within 5, I was like, okay, there's something I got to fix here. So I've replaced the standard 60 thousandths pin, decapping pin, with the 57 thousandths decapping pin. Now all you do is just slide that pin in, tighten this down. What I do is I actually put this in the vise just gently here, and then I tighten this end down, snug it up really tight so it's on nice and tight and it's not going to come loose. And then I put my die back in the machine, back in my Dillon XL 750, and haven't had a problem since. So it goes through just fine. So be careful about these cases with this head stamp, because it seems that this brand has a very small, much smaller than standard, what I would call standard sized flash hole. And by switching over to the 57 thousandths undersized, what they call undersized decapping pin, I fixed that problem altogether. But I just want everybody to know that it was a problem. Now what I'm going to do is, since I had that problem here, depriming 223, I'm going to pull this one out here and I'm going to put a retting in here with the undersized pin. And I'm just going to, because otherwise I end up having to replace these pins, you know, every couple hundred rounds, because I run into them where they're so stubborn as I'm pulling down, it pulls out the pin. So I'm going to do the same thing for my 223 reloading because I deprime first. You know, if I was depriming in a Dillon, you know, if I have a machine that does swaging for me, and I'm depriming and resizing in station 1, then I would swap out whatever pin you have in there in the 223, and I would put in this undersized pin, because this undersized pin fits no problem through these super tight flash holes that you're going to find on occasion. Otherwise, you're going to pull your pin out. Now, luckily, I caught this before it advanced on to the next stage, because if I would have pressed the primer up in there, that primer would have hit this, because it was almost flush. I pushed it back out a little bit. It was almost flush with the end. So if I would have pushed a primer in there, it would have detonated. So, and maybe even shot this up through. So you just got to be careful if you're going to use the oversized, regular size, what I call regular size pins. So for this head stamp, now I don't know about any other head stamps, and I'll put this head stamp on the you know, exactly how it reads on the description of this video, so that you guys can be aware of that brand of brass. And like I said, swapping out to the 57 thousandths decapping pin. Now this only works for retting equipment. I don't know what the options are for other dies. I only use retting dies because I love them. I think, except for their crimping die, I have a Lee crimping die. That's the only die I have that's Lee. Everything else is retting, because I think they make the best on the market. And that's my opinion from precision rifle reloading. But anyway, that aside, switch over to the smaller depriming, decapping pin, or else you're going to end up with this problem. All right, thanks again. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks again for watching Doc G's Reloading.